The Dark
Based China.
Yeah, based China. Mary said that, not me. The Dark Knight screening stopped by the government. Hong Kong has put a stop to an outdoor screening of The Dark Knight in compliance with a 2-year-old law that has changed the media landscape of the city. Fun fact, in 2020, I was wearing a shirt that said "Freedom for Hong Kong" while filming skating edits, and whenever I would wear it, the views would just drop precipitously.
Really? Why?
I don't know if there was some type of
Like
censorship.
if you posted it on Instagram,
Yeah, like
then
the views
Instagram might like suppress it.
I would you could look back to those videos and like the views per video were like 7 to 8K on most of them, and then on any one with a Freedom for Hong Kong shirt it was like 1K at most for a lot of them. And I was like, I don't know if that was some type of censorship, but it could have been. So it says a planned outdoor screening of Christopher Nolan's Oscar-winning The Dark Knight in Hong Kong has been canceled because of pressure from the government, Variety reports. The screening of the Christian Bale-led superhero flick has been scheduled for next Tuesday, October 27th, but on Friday, a message went out to ticket holders for the event organizer who said that the cancellation was based on a direction from the Hong Kong Government Office for Film, Newspaper, Article, and Article Administration. The first thing I thought of is there is a lot of Hong Kong and China referenced in this movie. One, Lau is like a dirty Hong Kong banker, like businessman who Batman has to actually go to Hong Kong to get and bring back to Gotham because he's funding all the mobsters. And also, there's a really funny part in the beginning when Two-Face, when Harvey Dent is doing the trial, trying to put Maroni behind bars, and a guy like gets a gun into a courtroom and tries to shoot him, and the gun misfires, and he grabs the gun, he punches the dude in the face. He says, "Carbon fiber, 28 caliber, made in China. You want to kill a public servant, Mr. Maroni? I recommend you buy American." And it's just like it's like a redressed Glock that they use in it. So that clearly wasn't from China, but that was like 2 references to China right off the bat there. I wonder if that plays a part in it because and also the banker Lau has police officers on his payroll, and they might not want you showing that there's corruption in Hong Kong.
Yeah, the statement that Warner Brothers made at the time seemed like they chose not to release it in China, but it definitely was imposed by the Chinese government. They said, based on a number of pre-release conditions that are being attached to The Dark Knight, as well as cultural sensitivities to some elements of the film, we've opted to forego a theatrical release of the film in China. So this is a long-standing thing before there were concerns about like LGBT themes being shown in movies there.
So governed by China while physically separated from the mainland, Hong Kong has passed a number of laws over the past few years, bringing it closer ideologically to the People's Republic. Variety points to one law in 2020, which resulted in a crackdown on journalism in the form of arresting reporters and shutting down news outlets, and another from the following year, which brought concerns of national security into whether The Dark Knight or any other film could be screened in Hong Kong. Funny how that term is crosses many borders, right? The term national security. Every country can use that as their justification for anything they want to do inland.
Yeah, I looked at the Reporters Without Borders ranking system for free expression and where Hong Kong ranked on there. I think it's their index is 148 over 180. So there are like different indicators regarding like politics, economics, law. There's not a lot of information about their media landscape, but they said once a bastion of press freedom, the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region of the People's Republic of China has seen an unprecedented setback since the national security law aimed at silencing independent voices.
I believe Joker didn't come out there either because they didn't want people.
Themes about police corruption and
political uprising.
Political uprisings are not aired there at all.
But they, what if they played like My Son Hunter?
Yeah, it's a difficult line to.
So to me, this is one of those things that I think should remind everyone here just how good you have it as far as freedom of expression. Mary would disagree a little bit.
Well, whenever we talk about like China's censorship of entertainment, I sometimes want to give them a benefit of the doubt that isn't afforded to us and say like, they have their national values that they want to push, and we have ours, and ours are a lot more imperialistic because we want to impose our values that are unique to the West onto the globe, and that's not fair either. And the Hong Kong government's their overt explanation for this is about violence, not about political themes. It's something it's an excuse that maybe is disingenuous, but one that I understand. I'm sure that like in America, it would be unheard of that any level of violence can't be shown on an outdoor venue.
Yeah. Yep.
But like that's their law, and they're enforcing it. And I don't feel like imposing my Western sensibilities onto them, and I don't really feel any type of way about it.
Do you think that that's becoming less and less of a problem here? Because like we're not sending our movies overseas now if they don't want them. Disney's choosing not to edit their movies to be released somewhere else,
and they make a big show of it too.
Yeah, and that's the annoying part, right? Is that they have to brag about how they're like, we're not. It's literally like the kids throwing soup on a Van Gogh, and then basically it's in front of people, right? They have to make a big show of the fact that we're going to get censored,
and talking big about what your movie accomplishes as a social impact.
Yes,
when in reality,
They don't.
Makes no cultural impact whatsoever because it sucked.
I would
Lightyear being the best example of that.
The funny thing is their movies made so much more of a cultural impact when it was better hidden. When their agenda was far less noticeable, it was more subversive.
Yeah,
when you actually just kind of made movies that were genuinely diverse, people became more. I would argue that my generation in Gen X became more accepting of everyone around them because they saw it done in these movies in a way that didn't feel ham-fisted.
I'm not even sure of that. Because I think the idea that Middle America needed to be influenced by Hollywood in that way is overblown and really indicts the character of Americans. Yeah. Just that implication that they needed instruction on morality from Hollywood, of all places, really bothers me.
I'm not saying that that's the only reason. I'm just saying that it may have reinforced what your parents were also teaching you, right? Like, if your parents are teaching you to be a good person, love your neighbor, respect everyone regardless of whether they look like you or not, and then you also see it enforced culturally in the things that are important to the rest of your populace, then that plays a role, but it's not the only thing.
Yeah, as far as like racial diversity or racial tolerance, I suppose that's generally true, but now all of those values that were pushed in media before are being undermined by the diversity, equity, inclusion cult that is actually looking for a renewal of segregation.
That's the hardest thing for me to point out to people because it always sounds like insane when you show these people. Like I was trying to explain to my friend, like, they don't understand what's going on in the world. And I said, there's literally anti-Jewish centers going up in school. Like there's anti-Jewish sentiment in colleges. There's segregated dorm rooms in colleges and stuff like, or segregated graduation ceremonies. And that sounds insane because it's insane. And then you have to explain to these people that it's being done through the guise of left-wing activism and not a weird right-wing hatred of another group. It's backwards.
Well, it makes us look like the fools who are focusing too much on race when we point this out, right? Like, as stupid as it sounds to talk about the fact that they race-swapped the Teletubbies' son baby, they were the ones who put thought into it first. Yeah, they're the crazy ones.
That's.
I'm not crazy.
No, and now that, like I said, the worst job in the world right now would be a Hollywood casting person because every single decision you make is then going to be scrutinized for like not just being like back in the day they just had to worry about being scrutinized like you picked this crappy actor. Now they're going to be scrutinized on literally a bunch of stuff that were probably notes given to them by their studio execs. Like you have to cast somebody who looks like this. You have to cast somebody who looks like this.
I think whoever gets chosen to substitute Trevor Noah on The Daily Show is going to be very important because I swear to God, the world changed when they hired that stupid hack to substitute Jon Stewart because diversity used to be like we're all bros, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And now it's like, and now the person who is racially different from you, yet he holds this opinion that's very common because that's the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And the Daily Show really is they were the front runners of that when, again, that stupid hack got on that show. And I feel if they got someone funny
Yep.
and interesting,
Who wasn't looking for clapter.
for real,
Who
like
also
it would heal the
wasn't
nation.
a reprehensible person in private when the cameras are off, which seems to be the case with a lot of late night hosts.
I was
I don't
thinking
know
about-
anything about him outside of him not being very funny.
There was a
I'm
thing
from South Africa,
that
and I
Jay-Z
think Americans are dumb.
There was a thing that Jay-Z did where he talked about black capitalism, and everything he described is just capitalism. And I think about how far gone our society is.
Well, what did he say about it?
He's just he doesn't want to call it capitalism because that's a dirty word now.
Wow.
But what he's describing is like how they as rappers turned their culture into a product that could be sold to the world, right? But it's still capitalism. You're just capitalizing and building capital on a culture, not on necessarily just a product. And I think about how our mindsets are so segregated now, and it just breaks my heart in a lot of ways to see people that divided all the time. Like maybe it's naive of me, but I don't want to think about it. Like, and then they would say that that's because that's from your place of white privilege. You don't have to think about it, right? But we all know that that's not true. But like, I don't want to judge people based on how they look. I don't want to judge people even based on. I don't want to judge people on how they look, where they're from, anything like that. I would like to judge everybody as an individual because, as cliche as that quote is, the smallest minority is always the individual, and I do follow that line of thinking that you're not your immutable characteristics. You're a person who's done things, said things that are irrelevant to how you look. And I want to judge you based on how you've treated me, how you've treated the people I know. I don't want to treat you based on how you look. And I feel like as much as we push back on that, and that's now considered, once again, an old school way of thinking, I don't know if we ever get back to there.
I wish that goodwill was still appreciated, but it's like I get to the cynical point where it's like, what's even the... what is even going to come of voicing that goodwill anymore?
I don't know what you mean by getting back to there, right? Because us three are from really different upbringings when you think about it. And we really agree on that. And I bet chat right now, they pretty much vibe with what they're saying. So, I mean, we're there, right?
Yeah.
We haven't gone anywhere. It's just the culture that they're propagating on us.
Yeah.
Will it ever get there? I'm like, dude, it's dying. Like no one, like who watches things? People hate watch things now.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell people don't hate watch things because it's views nonetheless and it's revenue nonetheless. If people stopped hate watching, these companies would be forced to change.
I guess that makes us part of the problem.
We are absolutely part of the problem.
That keeps coming up in our
Dave Smith would
conversations
be
that we're part of the problems that we talk about because we hate watch or we talk about like media storms around a She-Hulk or Rings of Power or
the
whatever.
theoretical argument we could be making is that a lot of the people will watch us talk about it but won't watch the show, so we give them their ability to engage with the material without actually giving them the money.
But that's not true, though. That's you guys being really tough on yourselves. And, like, rare moment of me defending you guys. But
Wow, thanks.
no, for real, because, so, behind the scenes stuff, like, me, Brett and Mary are always hanging up on here. And I remember when you guys were talking about Rings of Power before you even did reviews, and you were like, you know, we really respect the Lord of the Rings fans. And we really know that they love this stuff. So we don't want to hate on it just because it's the cool thing. Yeah. If it's good, we want to give it its props regardless of the fact if it's woke or not. So I know that you went into it with trying to
Thank
be
you guys.
Thank
as
you.
unbiased as you could possibly could be. And, you know, it just didn't hold up and you didn't like it. And... and a bunch of people got upset in chat. Is like, why aren't you hating on this more? It's like, well, they didn't hate it, guys. You know, they give you their god honest opinion, and like that's commendable. And
Thank you, guys.
As long as you like stay in that direction, I think it's good. It's not like this isn't. We're not in sites besides the sites that people put us because they're silly and binary, and they just can't think of a world outside of that. You know, we consume media and we have opinions upon it, and that's it.
In regard to this situation in Hong Kong, though,
Yeah, tangent.
no, I like it.
I know I'm a great orator.
I want to respond to the likely criticism that it's the CCP that enforces these rules about the media they consume, not the people and their values. I think it's a mix of both, and I don't want to brush past the fact that in the West, we honestly are under the thumb of equally tyrannical private institutions
that work hand in hand with the government.
Yeah. So I don't want to act like it's our responsibility to spread, our values of equality and freedom and democracy and blah, blah, blah to the rest of the world through movies and TV shows when, that would be ineffective if we even tried.
Yeah.
And it's presumptuous about what authority we should have over other cultures. And it's exactly that Western imperialistic attitude that has been condemned for so long by the same, I don't know what to call it, woke class. I hate saying the word woke, but it's exactly that, and it's self-contradicting.
There was also, this is kind of an aside, there was a weird theme of in Black Adam where they're talking about where the JSA is basically government intervention, and they're intervening in another country's business, in Kondak's business, and they do think of themselves as the good guy. He's like, we'll use force if necessary. That was so weirdly placed in there too.
That's another theme in Black Adam that they did not take full advantage of exploring in any way in the plot.
It was like they had a bunch of ideas on a board,
and they were just
the
throwing
but
it.
Fun.
Right. They were just throwing all of that out there and not addressing it.
Yeah.
And there was this idea that each nation should have its own godlike superhero rise up to defend them and their resources and their identity. And there was just nothing done to really elaborate on that.
The son, Adriana's son, was also weirdly homicidal, really pumped about Black Adam killing people.
And having the catchphrase before he does it.
Before he kills people. That was a little weird. Yeah, he was the weak link of that movie. Not to get off subject.
For sure.
Hollywood, if you're watching, I know you're watching, cast Sarah Shahi in everything. I'm just
also,
saying.
Hollywood, if you're watching, please stop making child actors out to be extremely obnoxious.
I mean, that's
in
not
all of our entertainment.
Yeah, that's
not a recent issue. That's been an issue for history.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude! What was that movie we saw with Ryan Gosling?
Gray Man.
The Gray Man.
Where the sick girl was just obnoxious.
Yeah.
Same
I liked her.
No.
She was too sassy for being that
she
sick.
was awful.
It's aren't you sick, dude? How do you have all this energy to clap back constantly?
Chat, you gotta help me, man. Everybody likes everything that I don't like and hates everything that I like.
You're just a hipster then.
No.
Or a contrarian.
See,
you're the contrary.
I got called that once by, I got called a contrarian.
Brett is the
once.
hipster and I'm the contrarian.
Okay.
What am I then?
That's what we could that's what we could have called this
people.
podcast.
Right, the populist.
We could have
There we
called
go.
this podcast The Hipster and the Contrarian.
I like
That's
that.
going to be our offshoot side hustle. Yeah.
Featuring guests such as the man of the people.
Exactly. Populist Dane. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.